Our guest today is Darrell Heaps, the head of Q4, an innovative IR professional. Darrell is always on the cutting edge, and now with his partnership with Broadridge, really bringing that virtual meeting platform to life. Looking forward to what is going to come in the near future. I'm Brock Romanek, today on Zippy Point. So Darrell, thanks again for making one of these videos with me. The last time you talked about the future of investor relations when we taped a few months ago, and all your predictions have come true. So
that's great.
But a lot has happened for Q4 since we last talked, the recent partnership with Broadridge. So first, let's talk about the virtual shareholders meetings. In your opinion, how has the investor relations corporate community responded to that shift?
Well, I think, like overall, certainly from virtual in general, so not just like virtual shareholder meetings, but I think what we have all gone through with this whole pivot to virtual that's happened in the market is just realizing how efficient and how effective virtual meetings can be. So whether that's in a one-on-one setting like this, or companies going through things like a non-deal roadshow or an IPO roadshow, the efficiencies that have been gained by using virtual are undeniable broadly. When you look at the virtual shareholder meetings, I think the discussion out there is, on one hand, virtual represents an incredibly efficient way in which to communicate the annual meeting to the market and to shareholders. It also is quite accessible, because when you remove travel and you're able to offer that broadly, it's so much more accessible to kind of a larger number of people. I think there are some, I wouldn't say it comes from the issuer side. I think the issuer side is quite happy generally with virtual shareholder meetings and being able to communicate with shareholders that way. I would put on the other side of that is shareholder advocates that look at virtual shareholder meetings as a way to kind of not provide as much accessibility. So in the work that we've been doing with Broadridge is to be able to try to thread that needle and provide the accessibility that comes from the technology of doing it virtually, while also offering up kind of features to try to bridge that gap to accessibility so that shareholders can feel like their voice is being heard. But having said all of that, I think the reality is that this is going to become the dominant manner in which companies communicate to their shareholders for their shareholder meeting, because of the fact of the efficiencies that are gained from it. Our sense is that it's not going to swing back and then all of a sudden all companies are going back to physical meetings or hybrid, just because of the cost, the expense, and the efficiencies that are all gained by doing it this way.
And I think a lot of companies are going to find they're going to have greater attendance when it's much more accessible like this. And I think
absolutely, yes.
That will continue.
And I guess that's the thing too, is that I think what has happened in this whole pivot to virtual that's happened across the whole business world is that everyone has spent so much time now with the vaccine rolling out across the US and kind of things starting to trend back to normal. I wouldn't say not back to normal yet, but kind of heading in that direction. The reality is people have experienced, we've already gone through the adoption curve. And I think that has changed behavior so that people are more open to using kind of virtual technology in general. And so that's what's going to cause it to kind of stick in that lane, I think.
So whenever I get a press release about some sort of new technology or even a partnership, it's really hard to tell. You get excited about it perhaps a little bit, but you really don't know what it means. How does this new platform for virtual meetings, how's it going to change now that Broadridge has partnered with Q4?
So that kind of speaks to the aspects that I touched on in kind of the answer to the first question. To your first question is, what we wanted to understand is what is the challenges that are occurring due to virtual meetings that were experienced during the first wave in 2020, and how could we learn from that and build the features and functionality in both for the participants, for the shareholders, and also for the issuers. So for the participants, what we wanted to really focus on is providing like an integrated experience, and for it to be a modern experience, for something that feels much more like Zoom than a webcast. And that was also like understanding how people's preferences have evolved so quickly So that's the first thing in terms of being able to deliver all of this in kind of one experience, whether it's an audio, primarily an audio meeting with slides, or if it's a video meeting, to deliver that in a kind of modern feel. And then it's to integrate all of the voting and Q&A into that. So giving shareholders the ability to lob their questions in, to submit, I should say, not say lob, but offer their questions to the company, submit their questions, and also to have voting be fully integrated. The experience kind of in the first wave was that when you went to vote, you were popped out of that experience and you had to go somewhere else to do it. And so what we wanted to do is to deliver all of that in a very integrated experience and across whatever device that you are choosing to attend the meeting. So that's what we've done on the participant side. And I think what you find if you join a meeting that's hosted by Broadridge this season, that's what you'll see, is that it's a much more slick experience than joining kind of a traditional webcast experience. On the issuer side, what we looked at is also how to take all these different components that were used to deliver the meetings in the first wave. When you have a conference call, managing kind of Q&A within the conference call, and then you have the webcast, and then you have voting. And if you were an issuer in that, you were basically kind of sitting in front of 3 different systems and trying to coordinate the meeting. And what we wanted to do is to bring all of that into one dashboard that allows the company to manage the entire meeting from that one central location. So that gives them the ability to manage inbound, the Q&A that's coming in, both that's submitted before the event and also live during the event. Also gives the ability to turn Q&A on and off, so they can control when questions are submitted. So being able to say, okay, now we'll open up for questions. They do that, shareholders submit their questions, but then giving them the ability to manage those and prioritize them in terms of how the management team is going to respond to those questions. And to bring chat into that, so that even while the meeting is happening, individuals from inside the company can be chatting on how to respond to particular questions. And then similarly, it's the integration with Broadridge from a voting perspective. So that allows the individuals that are in the meeting and in the back end of the meeting to turn on voting, open that up, and have that direct connection with Broadridge, again, rather than having to do it through a second kind of alternative system. The third and final component is around the integration of video. So now most meetings are still primarily audio and slides, or audio and a slide. And then they tee up the getting to the vote, and the vote is delivered through the interface. But the exciting thing about the platform is it's fully integrated from a video perspective. So the companies that will choose to use video, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 speakers plus slides, all of that can be delivered in a very super modern experience. And it gives the ability of a meeting kind of orchestration. So being able to say, okay, let's have Brock speak. Now Brock will speak with Darrell. Now we're going to do Brock, Darrell, and Sally plus slides. Okay, let's play a video. All of that kind of comes together in this kind of like orchestrated experience that we think is probably a little bit ahead of the curve right now. But we do believe that as time goes on and we all continue to be so comfortable with video, that inevitably there will be more and more video and the meetings will get richer and richer. And so those are kind of like the 3 main buckets of on the issuer side that the improvements have been made.
Well, that's a Zippy Point motto, say with video. We couldn't use the motto say with the t-shirt because it doesn't play the virtual world, but say it on video. That all sounds really great, Darrell. So what are some of the common questions that Broadridge's clients are asking about the new partnership?
I mean, I think a lot of the questions are around video. So looking at, I think there's still a hesitancy of using video to some degree. So some companies are very kind of progressive and they want to use the latest options there and get their management teams on video, et cetera. But a lot of the questions come exactly how is video going to be used, and they then will kind of default to audio. So I think we'll still see the majority of meetings that happen in this season still be predominantly audio. But then the other questions that we have are clients looking to use it for other types of meetings. So being able to, is this something that can we use for earnings or for investor days or for other types of meetings? And so that's something that we're super keen on kind of looking at that and being able to kind of adapt the platform to serve those different meeting use cases down the road.
And since what you've predicted for the future has already come to pass, can you perhaps predict a little bit further out? What is Q4 working on? Is it taking civilians to Mars?
Well, I wasn't supposed to say anything about that, so I have signed like an NDA that, you know, the whole Mars expedition thing. But now that you've kind of let the cat out of the bag, yeah, no, obviously joking. So I think we're looking at. We think that there has been a rewiring here, like as I mentioned kind of earlier in the clip here, is that we have gone through this forced adoption of using these tools, and we don't see going back. So we see that we're at this point where shareholder meetings, earnings calls, investor days, NDRs are all now going to be executed at a higher level utilizing these tools, because we're just all so comfortable in using, whether it's Zoom or Teams or WebEx or what have you, or Q4, to run these types of experiences. So we see further adoption of that. So we're really kind of going all in terms of like, how can we take this initial platform and adapt it for various different use cases around earnings, investor days, et cetera. We're also, as part during this whole period as well, we've been kind of expanding our solutions to help our corporate access clients on the investment banking side. So hosting investor conferences, NDRs, et cetera. So we're really looking forward, as we're tying this event platform into the conference solution, to be able to, same thing, is really deliver kind of like next generation experiences. We certainly believe that in-person is coming back. I mean, please, please have that in-person comes back. I think we all as humans want to spend time with one another. But we do believe that it's going to be additive. So in the same way that, you know, back in the day when mobile phones, smartphones really became a thing, like the iPhone, BlackBerry first, and the iPhone, I had to throw BlackBerry in there because I'm Canadian, is what we saw happen then was that it didn't save you any time. It just allowed you to do more. And that's what's happening. That's what's happened, and we believe will continue to happen with virtual. This isn't about the fact of like, is it in person or virtual? It's both, and it's just simply more. So you're going to be able to, you'll meet with more people, you will get more done. The expectations will be higher. The whole machine of how we all conduct business it has accelerated during COVID, and we believe is going to continue. It's not going to slow down. And so we're really looking at how do we solve for all those use cases. And then for us, it's really tying together all the analytics that come from that. So understanding all these interactions that are occurring across our broad platform. I mean, we have some incredible numbers now where there's like, you know, like 500,000 investors are attending live virtual events hosted by Q4 each quarter, and tens of millions of investors kind of hitting the network of websites. So like the scale is quite incredible. And the analytics that come out of that give us just these incredible insights to understand investor behavior that then we can help our corporate clients make better decisions in terms of, you know, which investors they should be spending time with or not spending time with as they, you know, make those decisions in their engagements in the capital markets. So we're excited about kind of tying everything together, analytics, and then making that all, you know, better in terms of how we can help our clients.
Yeah, those numbers are amazing. That's one of beauties of getting older and knowing people like you and see how Q4 has grown over the years. It's really remarkable, Darrell. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been honestly, it's been quite amazing. We kind of like, for me recently, kind of like woke up and looked at those numbers again, and I was like, wow, those are it's getting, the numbers are quite significant. So it's what's incredible is seeing behavior at scale. So you can, it gives you kind of insights into investor behavior, which is something that's pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
It's my pleasure, Brock, anytime. And congratulations on Zippy Point. I enjoy watching all the videos. And so keep it up. I look forward to the next one.
Thanks.